Welcome to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. I'm Steve Casillo with the April 10th, 2024, 217th edition, always broadcasting from the Cellmark Studios. Colleen Daniel is in Studio West, and we are here with the About Mansfield news team. Coming up this week, it's Mansfield news, talk, and information.
And a little later in the episode, you will have a chance to win a $25 gift card to a local Mansfield restaurant of your choice with our Mansfield trivia question, courtesy of Joe Jenkins Insurance. Let's take a look at the stories we're covering this week.
We get a city council update in a moment with the mayor.
Crane explosion rocks a 5-mile radius.
School board candidates' eligibility remains inconclusive.
Mansfield Texas Tech School of Nursing celebrates 5th class of nurses.
Mansfield Mission Center says let's tee one up for the community. And in sports, powerlifters flex their state champion muscles.
And in the talk segment, Steve talks about the future of journalism with former Star Telegram columnist O.K. Carter. We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. This is About Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool Hand, Cool Hand, Cool Hand, where excellence is still cool.
This is Paul Duncan with Trinity Solar Services. That's right, solar. Back in the 1960s, NASA used solar cells in their space missions. But get this, the very first solar cells were actually invented back in 1883. Solar energy has made great strides over the past 140 years, but one theme remains constant: solar works. Solar panels are the MVPs of renewable energy. While reducing carbon emissions and taking a stand against climate change, solar panels can also help to greatly reduce your electric bill. Trinity Solar Services is your sun-powered solutions, and we want to deck out your home with top-notch Tier 1 panels without breaking the bank. Reach out to us today for a complimentary quote. Trinity Solar Services is a Mansfield-based company that's all about building relationships through good old-fashioned, family-owned business values. Find us online at trinitysolarservices.com. That's trinitysolarservices.com.
Are you ready to take advantage of falling mortgage interest rates in the coming months? This is Roger with the Roger and Beth team. With housing demand predicted to increase across the DFW Metroplex, the Roger and Beth team are standing by to help move you and your family forward. No move in your future? That's okay too. It's time for your annual review of your real estate portfolio, and we're happy to help. Contact us at homesinmansfield.com. That's homesinmansfield.com.
Welcome back to About Mansfield. This portion of the news is brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Hi, I'm Kezia Valdez-Farrar, Mansfield ISD School Board Trustee, Place 4, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
The Mansfield City Council held a regularly scheduled meeting on Monday. The following opinions, those of Michael Evans, may not necessarily reflect those of the Mansfield City Council. And as we do every other Tuesday morning, good morning. Top of the morning.
There we go. Top of the morning. Man, don't be changing up things on me now.
I'm sorry. Speaking of change, because it only happens once every, who knows, what'd you do for the eclipse on Monday?
My wife and I sat out in the back of the house. We looked up and marveled at what God does. I'm telling you, that's what we did. You know, Steve, I thought in my mind that for 2 minutes and 42 seconds that people in DFW, the state of Texas, were all aligned, all one, that we were all human race. And I think that's what the eclipse did for me. That was my moment in that regard. That's what went through my mind. We were unified.
Yeah.
And it just demonstrates that miracles really can happen.
It wasn't a red sun. It wasn't a blue sun. It was everybody's sun.
It was everybody's sun. And I think that it should help to jog us to a place where we know in our heads and our hearts, we really can come together and be one if we all focus.
Let's talk about the city council and the meeting on Monday night. You guys, It was a pretty short meeting. You only started at 4 instead of the normal noon.
This is correct, but I tell you what, we will not disappoint you. Next time we'll start at about noon. All right, so here we go. So at the start of the meeting, we recognized the spring 2024 internship class, and this group of young adults have received hands-on experiences. They contributed really to our organizational excellence, and we wish all of them the best as they continue in their fledgling careers, and we hope that they will come back and live, work, and play in the great city of Mansfield, Texas.
This is pretty exciting. We got some stadium news.
You know, it's hard not to be giddy about this, but we approved a construction manager at risk for the multi-purpose stadium project. And really what this means is that this is the early step in that project, and it's going to happen. I mean, you know, we're not dreaming. It's kind of like when the Rangers won the World Series, you know, and Ed Nadell, he said, hey, you're not dreaming. And you know what? We are not dreaming. This is really coming to Mansfield, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, professional sports stadium.
And then you concluded with the consent agenda. Pretty, like we said, it was a pretty short meeting.
It was. We approved 5 consent agenda items, including applying for a state grant for median improvements along 1187, that corridor, and y'all know that's a long stretch. We're going to work to improve that stretch of the highway. And also, we are applying for a grant to FEMA to hire six full-time firefighters, and we need it. As our city continues to grow, we're going to need those dollars to employ good men and women who will serve this city.
That's it.
You know, yeah.
What else you got?
That's it, man. You know, I tell you.
How are we going to fill the next 6 minutes?
I know. I don't have anything else to give you, you know, other than I'm still goo-goo in the head regarding the eclipse. But, hey, you know, and thank you for the great work that you continue to do. But, yeah, you know, if people would like to see the entire meeting, just go to mansfieldtexas.gov. And, Steve, thank you for this opportunity always to present this recap.
Always happy to do it. It's called A Moment with the Mayor. That is Mayor Michael Evans. And go forth, make it a great day, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you then, sir.
Firefighters responded to a mobile crane that caught fire Friday evening in the 100 block of northbound Highway 287 around 8:45 p.m. The fire was contained to the axle and wheel system, causing one of the tires to explode. The driver was reportedly standing near the tires at the time of the explosion and was transported by Mansfield Fire Rescue to a local hospital with serious injuries. The explosion was heard from as far away as Venus, some 5 miles away, and startled patrons dining at 54th Street restaurant just down the street.
Mansfield ISD Board President Courtney Lackey-Wilson released a statement Thursday regarding the eligibility of both Place 2 school board candidates. Dr. Jandel Crutchfield's eligibility was reviewed, and she has been determined to be in compliance with the election eligibility requirements. The Board of Trustees has been consulting with the district's legal counsel and election officials at the local, county, and state levels to review Dr. Angel Hidalgo's eligibility and the information between Texas's election code and government code. The findings remain inconclusive at this time. The deadline to remove a candidate's name from the ballot in a general election in Texas was back in February. As a result, both candidates' names will remain on the ballot for the May 4th election. On Friday, school district spokesman Donald Williams said in a release to the Star-Telegram, quote, "If an ineligible candidate receives the votes to be elected to the position, then a vacancy is declared. The resulting vacancy can be filled in the board's regular manner for filling vacancies," unquote. The board can appoint a person to fill the vacancy and can serve in the trustee position until the next board election or a special election, but no longer than 180 days. And just when you thought the school board elections couldn't get any crazier, Place 1 candidate Matt Herzberg's Facebook personal and campaign pages were hacked and deleted on Sunday, resulting in having to relaunch a social media campaign all over again. Dr. Herzberg's website and other social media outlets were not affected.
The Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center School of Nursing marked its 5th class of nursing graduates, with 15 smiling faces earning their BSN with a lamp lighting ceremony on Saturday in Mansfield. The graduation ceremony was conducted at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, which plays host to the School of Nursing's new satellite campus. The lamp lighting ceremony is a tradition in honor of Florence Nightingale, who was known as, quote, the lady with the lamp, end quote. In the mid-1800s, Nightingale would stay up late at night checking on ailing Crimean war soldiers in the hospital and is considered to be the mother and pioneer of nursing because of her courageousness and devotion to nursing the soldiers back to health. Every semester, Methodist Mansfield Medical Center and the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center School of Nursing faculty select a student who encompasses the characteristics of the Shines Award, which represents the following: a servant heart, hospitality, innovation, noble, enthusiasm, and skillful. This semester's Shines Award was Kendra Jones, who is a student nurse and Methodist Mansfield extern who would begin work in the intermediate care unit after graduation. The Texas Tech Nursing Program graduates Mansfield-based students 3 times per year.
It happens every year. It's one of their 2 major fundraisers of the year, and we're talking about the Mansfield Mission Center Golf Tournament is coming up on Friday, April 19th. And with us on the phone to talk about it, she is the Events and Volunteer Services Coordinator, Christy Oldham with Mansfield Mission Center, and the Executive Director, Brian McFadden. Welcome to About Mansfield.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Steve. It's good to talk with you.
Tell us about this golf tournament. When, where, and how can people find out more information about it?
We are so excited. This is Mansfield Mission Center's 9th annual golf tournament. We're going to be hosting it on April 19th at Sierra Verde Golf Club in Arlington. It's our 2nd year there. Beautiful course. We had a great experience there last year and just wanted to go back and have another great tournament there this year. Our sponsor this year, title sponsor, is Methodist Mansfield Medical Center. They are great partners for us here at the Mission Center, and so we're very grateful for their team and their support of our organization and this event specifically, too. So we have an 8 a.m. shotgun start that morning. Breakfast and lunch are included. Just a great day, hoping for beautiful April weather that day, and just looking forward to a great day on the greens with our golfers.
And speaking of golfers, the purpose of having you on is because we want to fill some more slots. You have some open slots for more golfers.
We do. We do have some more teams available. We even have a few spots for singles if anyone is an individual but wants to come and support us and play golf with us that day. So teams, individuals, both are welcome. We would absolutely love to add some more players to our event.
And we'll talk in just a couple of seconds about how people can sign up for the golf tournament, but also you're never going to turn away a sponsor. You still have some sponsorship opportunities.
We do. We absolutely do. We've got tee sponsors available, which would join us on the course and get to talk with the golfers throughout the day and promote their own organizations and businesses. And then we do have some larger sponsorships available still, too. So we would more than welcome additional sponsors. Of course, we are grateful for the sponsors that we have. We've already mentioned Methodist Medical, but we also have Texas Health Hospital, Frost Bank, Frontier Waste, Crane and Woolley Attorneys, Heart Place U.S. Heart and Vascular, and Basic Components are our current sponsors, but we would absolutely welcome some new sponsors this year, too.
Let's get down to the specifics then. If someone wanted to either sign up a team or sign up as a single, or if someone wanted more information about sponsoring the golf tournament, where do they go?
So our Mansfield Mission Center website would be the best place to start. MansfieldMission.org is that website, and there is an events page on there, which they can go to and then click on the golf tournament. It will tell them all the information they need. They are also welcome, of course, to reach out to me via email, christyo@mansfieldmission.org, and I would be glad to talk with them as well.
This is an area now where I guess we're going to bring Brian into the loop, because the money that is raised from this golf tournament fundraiser goes to a great cause.
Yeah, that's right. This is one of our two largest events that we do throughout the year, and the money that we will raise will help us care for the families in our community that are at need. And so we have got a free medical clinic for uninsured adults to come in and receive services. And so funds from this will help fund that clinic. We've also got a thrift store where lots of people give us donations of food, but we also have to buy some fresh fruits and vegetables and items. So funds from this event will fund that, as well as the wraparound services that we provide our neighbors who call in and need help with various things.
You've got the food pantry, you've got the clinic, and so many services, financial services that you have to offer to the community. And honestly, a lot of people don't know about it. It's great to have you there.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we anyone who calls us needing help in the area of the finances or looking for a job or their utility bills are too high, we take it case by case on where they need the help. Oftentimes it's just coaching on how they can get a better rate with a utility company or how they can save money and spend it elsewhere. So it takes a lot of time and manpower to do those things, and this tournament will help support our staff that does that.
It's the Mansfield Mission Center annual golf tournament, the 9th annual golf tournament. It happens Friday, April 19th. Tierra Verde is the location. Beautiful golf course, and 8 a.m. shotgun start. Breakfast and lunch are included with the tournament. So go on out there if you can swing a club. Even if you can't swing a club, go ahead and it's a beautiful golf course and go out and take a look. Mansfield Mission Center. Christy Oldham and Brian McFadden, appreciate your time, and we'll see you out there at Tierra Verde.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Coming up, 2 Mansfield ISD girls flex their powerlifting muscles, and we'll talk about it because sports is next.
Are you ready to create unforgettable memories? Picture this: an enchanting event venue nestled amidst breathtaking landscapes with panoramic views right here in Mansfield. The Grandview Event Center is the perfect setting to bring your vision to life. From intimate gatherings to large-scale extravaganzas, the Grandview has flexible spaces to accommodate any occasion, be it a graduation or school function, art exhibition, or birthday or anniversary party. Book your next unforgettable experience at thegrandviewmansfield.com. That's thegrandviewmansfield.com. The Grandview Event Center, where memories are made and dreams become reality. Book your event today.
I'm Philip Washington, Chief Investment Officer of Stonehill Wealth Management and host of the Wealth Building Made Simple podcast. First book I read in college was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it changed my life. And since then, I've read tons and tons of books on money. And what I've done is taken those lessons, simplified them, and I talk about those lessons on my podcast, Wealth Building Made Simple. So come hang out with us. We're on every major platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Wealth Building Made Simple.
In sports, let's talk about 2 standout powerlifting performances that have brought immense pride to our school district, as Crystal Hernandez of Legacy High School made district history as the first ever unequipped state champion in the 148-pound class. Meanwhile, Esther Adadiri of Summit High School secured the prestigious title of state champion in the 181-pound class. Powerlifting is a strength sport that consists of 3 attempts at maximal weights of 3 lifts: squat, bench press, and deadlift. In competition, lifts may be performed equipped or unequipped. The latter is typically referred to as classic or raw lifting. Equipment in this context refers to a supportive bench shirt, a squat deadlift suit or briefs. Weightlifting belts, knee sleeves, wrist wraps, and special footwear may also be used, but are not considered when distinguishing equipped from unequipped lifting. These remarkable accomplishments speak volumes about the dedication and discipline of both Esther and Crystal, as well as the incredible support they've received from their coaches, teammates, and the entire MISD community. If you have a comment about the show, the news, whatever's on your mind locally, the good, the bad, the ugly, you can reach us by voicemail at 817-435-2787. 2938. We have a couple of announcements you should know about. First, our school board candidate interviews are now available on the About Mansfield website. Visit aboutmansfield.com and spend 30 minutes with each of the candidates. Again, go to aboutmansfield.com. At the top of the page, click on School Board Interviews. Also, About Mansfield is proud to be a sponsor of the upcoming Mom Boss Expo happening on Saturday, April 20th from 10 to 3 at 1218 Debbie Lane. There will be over 60 unique Mansfield-based vendors, as well as food trucks, giveaways, photo ops, and free shopping bags. The free and open to the public Mom Boss Expo was created to support local entrepreneurs, and all of the expo profits will be going to the Mansfield Public Library and the Mansfield Animal Shelter. So make a note, visit the Mom Boss Expo happening on Saturday, April 20th, 10 to 3 at 1218 Debbie Lane. This coming Sunday, April 14th, is National Gardening Day. That's right. It's a time to roll up your sleeves and dive into the world of gardening, whether you're a seasoned pro or just a beginner. This day is perfect for getting your hands dirty and embracing the greenery. As spring hits its peak, it's the ideal moment to start nurturing your garden for the summer ahead. Even if you lack outdoor space, houseplants are a great alternative to flex those green fingers. And gardening isn't just for plants. It's a social activity too. You can join the millions who find joy in sharing tips on social media and cultivating community gardens. Plus, the health benefits are numerous, from burning calories to reducing stress. Are you ready to celebrate? Dive into your garden, seek advice from local centers, sign up for a gardening course, share your journey on social media, inspiring others to join the fun. As the great Guy Clark once sang, there are only two things in life that money can't buy: true love and homegrown tomatoes.
Coming up after the break, we turn the page to the features section.
Angel Biasatti is here to talk about a groundbreaking procedure to treat carpal tunnel syndrome in Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
In this week's Cocktail of the Week, I'll be talking about a cocktail that takes rum, Coke, and lime, and they unite into a rebellious, refreshing fusion.
We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
This portion of the news was brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool hand, cool hand, cool hand, where excellence is still cool.
At Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, we've been caring for our home team for over 15 years. Today, you'll find award-winning physicians on the medical staff, advanced neurosurgery, a level 3 trauma center, critical care for newborns, and comprehensive orthopedic care. Methodist Mansfield, delivering the care our friends, neighbors, and home team depend on. That's community, and why so many people trust Methodist.
Congratulations to Artie Campano, who knew that the Mansfield Chronicle was founded in 1883. When we come back, this week's trivia question. This is About Mansfield.
Hey, it's Steve Casillo, and are you ready to make your voice heard? Want to bring out your ideas to life through captivating conversations and engaging visuals? Look no further than Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio, your one-stop destination for award-winning audio and video podcast recording. Equipped with cutting-edge microphones, crystal clear audio recording, and high-definition cameras, we're here to turn your ideas into engrossing content. But it's not just about the equipment. We're dedicated to bringing out the best in your content. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to elevate your podcasting game. We'll even help you with intro music, transitions, voiceover, and that professional polish that sets your podcast apart. So whether you're into interviews, storytelling, or simply sharing your expertise, Podcast Mansfield can help bring your podcasting dreams to life. Visit podcastmansfield.com. Podcast Mansfield, we're creating your podcast masterpiece. has never been easier.
Hi, this is Joe Jenkins with Joe Jenkins Farmers Insurance, specializing in auto, home, commercial, and life insurance. I was born and raised here in Mansfield, Texas. We're active in the community, and Mansfield's a town we really care about. Our office has over 30 years' experience in the insurance industry, and we're passionate about what we do and about customer service. For a free quote, please visit our website at joejenkinsinsurance.com or give us a call at 817-472-6058. Once again, that website is joejenkinsinsurance.com.
It is time right here, right now for the highly coveted, wildly popular About Mansfield trivia question. If you are the first person to email the correct answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com, you will receive a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice. It's brought to you by Joe Jenkins Insurance. Whether you're looking for homeowners, auto, commercial, or any other type of insurance, Joe has helped Mansfield area residents understand the insurance coverage that best fit their needs since 2010. You can find him on the internet at joejenkinsinsurance.com. I've mentioned it before. I mention it again. Not everyone wins on a Wednesday. If you're hearing this on a Thursday, Friday, or whenever, give it a shot. You may be taking home a $25 restaurant gift card. Colleen, it's your turn.
Well, Steve, one of the longest highways in Texas is U.S. Highway 287, which runs 640 miles from Amarillo through Mansfield and ends in the Gulf Coast city of Beaumont. In 1940, U.S. Highway 287 was changed from another name. This week's trivia question is, what was Highway 287 called prior to its name change in 1940? Email your answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com. Again, what was Highway 287 called prior to its name change in 1940? Good luck, and thanks to Joe Jenkins Insurance.
Hello, I'm City Manager Joe Smolinski, and you are listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. Let's open up the features section. Angel Biasatti is here with details on a groundbreaking procedure to treat carpal tunnel syndrome in Methodist Mansfield. News to know. Angel?
We have a special guest joining us today, Dr. Sean Garf. He's a leading sports medicine physician on the medical staff at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center. He's been making waves in the medical community with his groundbreaking approach to treating carpal tunnel syndrome.
Thank you, Angel. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dr. Garf, we've heard the exciting news that you've been treating your 100th patient using a non-invasive method for carpal tunnel release. Can you tell us more about this approach and the technology behind it?
Absolutely. We've been using ultrasound guidance along with the Ultra Guide CTR device to perform carpal tunnel procedures at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center. This technique allows for precise targeting of the affected area without the need for traditional open surgery or general anesthesia. Traditionally, you'll see an incision for an open carpal tunnel release going all the way from the wrist to the middle of the hand. And this new procedure allows us to use a small 4mm incision at the base of the wrist or the size of the tip of a pen in order to release the carpal tunnel.
That's truly impressive, Dr. Garf. And I understand that you were one of the first physicians in Texas to offer this innovative treatment. What motivated you to adopt this innovative approach?
My goal has always been to provide my patients with the best possible care while minimizing the impact on their daily lives and possible adverse outcomes. When I learned about the benefits of ultrasound-guided carpal tunnel release, I knew it was something I wanted to bring to my practice in this area. Seeing the positive outcomes and the satisfaction of my patients has only reaffirmed that decision.
And speaking of good patient outcomes, how have your patients been responding to this new, innovative approach?
The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Patients are experiencing relief from the symptoms much faster. Often, when I see them back after a week, most of their symptoms have resolved, and many are able to return back to their normal activities and work sooner than they expected. On average, we see people getting back to their everyday activities within 3 to 5 days, as opposed to 3 to 5 weeks with a more traditional open carpal tunnel release. It's truly been rewarding to see the difference it's making in their lives.
That's wonderful to hear, Dr. Garf. Can you share any advice for our listeners who may be dealing with carpal tunnel syndrome?
Absolutely. My advice would be to not wait if you're experiencing symptoms such as numbness, tingling, or weakness in your hands or fingers. Early intervention is possible and can make a significant difference in the outcome of treatment. Often people think the only option would be surgery, but we have many options to treat carpal tunnel, especially in the mild to moderate symptom patient. I encourage anyone who's dealing with these symptoms to reach out to a qualified specialist to explore their options.
Thank you for the valuable insight, Dr. Garf, and thank you for joining us today to shed light on this innovative new approach to treat carpal tunnel syndrome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Angel Biasatti, reporting for the About Mansfield podcast.
Shaken or stirred, you know it's going to be good as Brian Certain whips up a rebellious rum concoction in the cocktail of the week. Brian?
This week's cocktail of the week is the Cuba Libre. The Cuba Libre is a classic cocktail that perfectly combines the sweetness of cola, specifically Coke, with the boldness of rum, and has a rich history that intertwined with Cuba's struggle for independence. The drink's origins can be traced back to the late 19th century during the Spanish-American War. In the 1900s, American troops were stationed in Cuba to support the island's fight for freedom from Spanish rule. The soldiers would often mix their daily rations of Coca-Cola with the local Cuban rum, creating a simple yet refreshing drink. And as the story goes, a U.S. Army Signal Corps member, Captain Russell, was enjoying this mixture in a Havana bar when he toasted to a free Cuba, proclaiming, "Por Cuba Libre," which translates, "for a free Cuba." And from that moment on, the drink was known as the Cuba Libre. The cocktail gained popularity in the United States during the Prohibition era as Americans would travel to Cuba to indulge in the island's vibrant nightlife and enjoy drinks like last week's cocktail and this week's the Cuba Libre. The combination of Cuban rum and American Coca-Cola has symbolized the cultural exchange between the two countries. Over time, the Cuba Libre became a staple in bars and restaurants worldwide, thanks to its simple yet satisfying blend of flavors. The drink's popularity endures to this day with variations and twists on the original recipe, keeping it fresh and exciting. But as always, don't worry about taking notes as I'm giving out the ingredients and the instructions. They'll always be posted on bourbongospel.com. Now, let's explore how to make the perfect Cuba Libre at home. First thing you'll need is 2 ounces of Cuban rum or any light rum, 4 ounces of Coca-Cola, a half ounce of fresh lime juice, remember fresh first, and ice. Then you're going to take a lime wheel for garnish. First thing you're going to do is you're going to fill a highball glass with ice cubes. Then you're going to pour the rum over the ice, squeeze the fresh lime juice into the glass, or pour if you're using a mixture, and then gently stir to combine the rum and the lime juice. Then slowly pour the Coca-Cola over the rum mixture. The key is to pour down the side of the glass to preserve the carbonation and create a layered effect. Then finally give the drink a final gentle stir to ensure all the ingredients are well combined. Garnish with a lime wedge on the rim of the glass and serve immediately. While the classic Cuba Libre calls for Cuban rum, you can experiment with different types of light rum to find your preferred taste. Some variations even use dark rum for a richer, more complex flavor profile. Additionally, you can adjust the amount of lime juice to your liking depending on how tart or sweet you prefer your cocktail. Now, as you sip your Cuba Libre, take a moment to reflect on the drink's historical significance and its connection to Cuba's fight for independence. This cocktail serves as a reminder of the power of unity and the human spirit's unwavering desire for freedom. Finally, the Cuba Libre is more than just a simple mix of rum and cola. It's a cocktail that embodies the resilience and determination of the Cuban people. So raise your glass to toast to the enduring legacy of this beloved drink, a true symbol of Cuba's vibrant culture and history. As always, I'm open to hear your take and your input. You can reach me at brian@bourbongospel.com. And until next week, as Mark Twain said, too much of anything is bad, but too much whiskey is barely enough. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Brian Certain.
We're back in 60 seconds with Steve's interview with OK Carter.
Imagine a city where innovation knows no bounds, where dreams take flight, and the future unfolds before your very eyes. Welcome to Mansfield, a beacon of growth and a testament to vision. In the heart of Mansfield, a remarkable transformation is underway. But it's not just about the physical landscape. It's about the spirit that drives us forward. A spirit of collaboration that bridges cultures, a spirit of entrepreneurship that fuels prosperity, and a spirit of community that binds us as one. Mansfield is more than just a place. It's a canvas where diversity paints the picture of progress. From art festivals that ignite creativity to tech hubs that redefine boundaries, this city celebrates every voice, every passion. Mansfield, where growth knows no limits and the vision is limitless. Brought to you by the unstoppable spirit of the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Amanda Rogers, managing editor of the Mansfield Record, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Casillo as we make the transition from news to talk. In the studio today, it is a great pleasure to welcome. You may not recognize the name Owen Kelton Carter, but if you are, I don't know, maybe picked up the Star-Telegram anytime within the last 20 years or so, you may recognize the name OK Carter. OK, welcome to About Mansfield.
Thank you. And you gave me too much credit there. You would actually be the last 37 years.
Oh, 37 years.
Yes, I know. I said some people just don't lead an interesting life.
And yet they politely asked you to leave?
They did. They gave me a huge check when I left, though, so it was sort of, embellished. They ask a lot of people to leave at the Star-Telegram. I think there's one person that works there anymore that was there when I was there, to my knowledge. Bud Kennedy, who is
still there.
Is still there and has the greatest talent for perseverance and finding a niche of any journalist I've ever met.
He loves to eat.
That too, although he's not as rotund as he used to be.
No, but he does the article of
yes, he is
Kennedy
the dining connoisseur, but he does a lot of other things as well.
Yeah.
So
he covers a lot of restaurants in Mansfield.
Yes, any restaurant in Tarrant County, and every now and then he wanders over into Dallas, as foreign as it is to him.
So the bio, according to our crack research department, says you're a former editor and publisher of the now defunct Grand Prairie Urbanite, as well as the Arlington Citizen Journal. And we mentioned the 37 hot minutes at Fort Worth Star-Telegram. And let's go back. Let's go back even further back.
Let's do a correction right away. Because what happens is that the Urbanite was one of those properties of the Arlington Citizen Journal, which was one of those properties of the Star-Telegram. So every time the editor went on vacation or got fired or quit, then I ended up being the Grand Prairie fill-in there. So I've probably been Grand Prairie editor and publisher of the Urbanite maybe 10 or 12 times for anywhere from 1 week to 3 months at a time. Most of my career has been in Arlington, although for a while I was the sort of designated directional editor for the Star-Telegram, the Southwest editor, the Northeast editor. So that's kind of the way it goes.
That's right. There were different additions to the Star-Telegram.
You had to be different additions, different special sections, and two is that over the years, I think maybe we've gone through 5 or 6 corporate transitions. We've gone from Amon Carter Publications to Capital Cities to ABC to Disney to Knight Ridder to McClatchy to a holding company that's now trying to drain every last single nickel out of it that it can.
That's like my days in radio. How many program directors can you outlast? And so
that has been my theory all the time. Outlast the bastards. There we go. And sometimes they come in and you find people who love you and think you should be the next publisher. And then sometimes people come in and they think, I got somebody better. So it's one of those things. It just pays to persevere.
In San Diego, where I grew up, we had 2 newspapers, but they were owned by the same company. So we had the morning edition, the Union Tribune, and we had the evening edition called the Evening Tribune. For some reason, my parents subscribed to both, but I guess there was enough news back in the 60s and 70s.
There was a time when I first went to the Star-Telegram, we had the Fort Worth Press, which was Scripps Howard, and then the Star-Telegram, which was all of those things that I mentioned previously.
I got to ask, because you mentioned the name. Are you or were you related to Amon Carter?
I'm, I am sort of what you call a distant cousin. Do you know what that means?
Which means?
It's a long, long, long way from the money.
Boom. So that's a no?
Yes, that's a no.
That's a no. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up about 100 miles west of here, which is Graham, Texas, Young County. Which is you have to sort of want to get there to end up there or to be really hopelessly lost. There was a fort there, Fort Belknap, one of those western things, and there was a couple of Native American reservations there too once upon a time, and also a very unsuccessful salt mine. So the town's early history depends on catering to reservations and salt mining, neither one of which really worked out in the long run.
When I think 100 miles west of here, I'm kind of envisioning, as you know, I'm not from around here. Abilene?
That would be a little further. That would be like 170 or 80 miles west, west of Mansfield. So, yeah, Graham is right in the middle of the western cross timbers, which is this sort of really hilly section. You know, after that, you run into a couple, 300 miles of prairie, maybe more. If you go north, more like 1,000.
You grew up in Graham.
I did.
What does one do on a Friday night in Graham?
You know, you hang out at the Dairy Queen. They have this gigantic square. I think it's the largest square in Texas. In fact, it's about like a mile square. So you hang out there and you see who else is driving by. And then when that gets old, then you drive down to the Dairy King, which is on the other end of town. But
there's a Dairy, literally there's a Dairy King
and a Dairy King, and so you go from one to the other, and it's really quite the scenic little town. I mean, there's probably about 8,000 there now, and when I was there, it was 5,500. So you sort of grew up in the small town. I graduated from high school on a Friday night, and Sunday packed my 51 Chevy up and motored towards Fort Worth, and never lived in Graham again. It's amazing, though, how many people in my graduating class moved back there, those that are alive. If you have exactly 100 graduates, which my class did, it's easy to keep up with the stats. Lucky for me.
Yeah. Viewing Graham from the rearview mirror.
That is true.
And never looking at this. There was not Graham, but Lubbock was looking at Lubbock in your rearview mirror was I don't know, Mac Davis.
Mac Davis. You know, Lubbock, I think, is the home of Buddy Holly too.
Yes, so. That's correct. Any famous people aside from OK Carter coming from Graham?
From Graham, I'm sure there are some. I can't think of anybody who's made the Hall of Fame cut, though.
At what age did you realize you had a gift for writing?
You know, I in the 5th grade, I had a teacher that said, Carter, I think that you might be a writer someday. That's a shame. So that was kind of, and I actually thought it was sort of a ludicrous idea. Who can make a living as a writer?
Yeah.
So I think I went to college originally as a pre-med student, which I think I would never trust me to be my physician. And finally I said, well, maybe I could be a podiatrist, just work on the ankle down.
Oh, yeah.
But that seemed terribly complicated too. And then I finally settled on a career choice that would be not having a real job, which would be journalism. So it's as long as you're reasonably productive, it's sort of like working for yourself, but with benefits.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. That I sit here and I get to talk to people all day.
There you go. Same.
And is it work?
It could be work, but it rarely ever is sweaty.
True. That is true. You left Graham. Where'd you go? Where was your first job?
Oh, my dad was killed in World War II, so I had a little money from that. So I wisely decided to go spend it at TCU.
Yeah.
And I really loved TCU, but I really, really wish I had all that money back. And so I've been to numerous other other higher education institutions since then, including one of yours, Berkeley, for a lonesome semester.
All right.
It doesn't pay to be a Marine in Berkeley in the 60s, by the way.
A little too hippie-ish for...
No, I love the hippies. It's just
Okay.
they don't like me so much.
They don't like because what are they?
My hair was so short.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm trying to conceal myself and pretend that I'm just going to merge into this meld of churningly sexual active students. But you know, I've got this burr haircut from the Marines, and it's just it's a dead giveaway.
A jarhead.
I was, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Former Staff Sergeant O.K. Carter at your service.
Thank you. Where were you based?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
You mentioned you prior to recording, you did some time in San Diego.
Yes, I did.
As part of a Marine?
Yes, in the Marines, and I think we talked about my brief residency at Mission Beach with some other Marines, some in San Francisco.
Learning how to surf.
Yeah, I got to do the Vietnam thing, and then the Camp Lejeune thing, and then a lot of time in Europe. It was 4 years of, I guess, reasonably productive things. You guys get out of it unscathed. I'm told all the time that I don't seem to be the staff sergeant type, in which I would totally agree, by the way.
Staff sergeant, is that above sergeant?
That is the next rank up above sergeant, yes. That's what they call an E6. Not that matters in the world, but...
My son-in-law is a Marine, currently based at Camp Pendleton. And was just promoted to sergeant last week.
Okay. And how long has he been in there?
He's coming up on 4 years.
Okay.
So staff sergeant is the next?
Yes.
The next one.
Staff sergeant, gunnery sergeant, first sergeant, sergeant major. Or, you know, you could, if he's a smart guy, you might go for that warrant officer thing.
I'll talk to him about that.
Okay, yeah. I think it would be better for him in the long run. Or the short run.
The Marines took you all over the world. The Marines actually took my son-in-law. He's currently in Okinawa. And
been there too?
Have you?
Yes.
Do you have to learn Japanese while you're there?
I have a hard time with foreign languages in general. So I didn't do well in Japan at all. I didn't do very well with Mandarin in Taiwan, and I didn't do very well with French or Spanish in Europe. Although it's good to have a Spanish girlfriend who speaks French.
Care to elaborate?
No.
No.
Well, Paloma Martin, if you're out there somewhere, and I know you are in Spain, hello.
Tell me about your first job as a writer.
First job as a writer. Well, let me see. First, trying to keep this succinct, I went like your techie here to University of North Texas to finally finish up after the Marines. And I'm kind of working on my master's degree and my bachelor's degree at the same time, and meanwhile, sort of teaching school. And one Friday, I get out of school, and it's the end of the semester, and I have to decide whether to sign a contract on Monday to be a teacher, and they're going to give me a fabulous pay raise from $7,200 to $7,800 a year.
Yeah,
to do this. It's been a while since I was I taught the 11th and 12th grade, and I came home, and there was a brand new Cadillac in my driveway, and the driver of this new Cadillac was sitting on my porch, and she told me she had purchased 4 newspapers, weekly newspapers. And my ambition out of college, by the way, was to be the editor of a big weekly or a small daily. And I said, well, that's good. Why are you on my porch? And she says, well, you know, I asked about somebody that I really needed at the university, and they said you were the one. So I want you to come up and be an editor for me of this new little chain of 4 weekly newspapers. And I said, that's good. And then they're White Wright, Van Alstyne, Anna, Belle Savoy, all little small weeklies. So, well, that's good. So which one do you want me to be the editor of? And she says, well, all of them. And it turned out you sort of meant like executive editor and then run one directly. So on Friday night, I graduated with my master's degree, and on Monday, I pulled into White Wright, Texas as the new editor at 1140 Publications. And I guess that would have been around 1971.
Okay,
so yes, I'm that old.
You're going to have to help me again. White Wright?
White Wright with a
Texas,
yep.
which is
up in between Bonham and Sherman.
I know where those are.
Yeah, and I believe it's Fannin County. It's not too far. And we'll talk about Bonham here in a second because I almost left to become the editor of the Bonham paper, which is the Bonham Daily Favorite, which is my all-time actually favorite name for a little small daily newspaper.
Well, let's get into it right now. When did that take place after?
Well, what happened? Now, this is great. So the job was really interesting. You're going everywhere. You got 4 papers spread over 3 adjoining counties, and you're cruising all over the place, going from paper to paper to paper, and then you don't have your own printing presses, so you got to drive the stuff in. And so the good thing about it is you're learning about mechanics of composition, you're learning about printing, you're learning all these things, plus you're writing stuff, taking photos, got your own dark room, doing all those kind of things. Right. So you're working all the time, and it's really kind of a good learning experience. And I really like the job. The only issue was that although the publisher was driving a new Cadillac and was living in a new house and spent a lot of time at the country club, her checks kept bouncing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, payroll checks. I know, and then, usually they would start to turn good by the time your next payroll came around, but it got to be annoying after a while. So I decided I would just go back and ask the Star-Telegram if they had anything for me. I'd been an intern there, a sports intern back when I was at UNT. And so they didn't have anything, but they said, we got a job over in Arlington we want you to check on. This was sort of the crime and catastrophes editor. So next thing I know, January 16th, 1972, they hired me as sort of the crime and catastrophes writer for the Citizen Journal, which belonged to the Star-Telegram.
Were there any crimes and catastrophes in Arlington at that time?
On my third day, my first murder turned out to be a serial killer.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, so there are.
Yes, it does happen like that. And on my 7th day, keep in mind, I'm also covering catastrophes. There was a plane doing touch and goes. It was a commercial jet. It only had the crew on board.
Yeah.
At Amon Carter Field, which is kind of not existing anymore, but used to be across from American Airlines Academy there on 360. And anyway, so on one of his touch and goes, he didn't go. He splatted, and he killed everybody on there.
Oh.
So I'm out wandering around, taking pictures on the field and walking through all this slushy stuff with my new Payless shoes, and then I get back to work, and I'm working. I'm typing up the story of the touch and not go, and I felt my feet felt cold, and I looked down, and whatever is in that stuff they spray for plane crashes.
Yeah,
and
the foam.
Yeah, the foam, and I guess mixed with jet fuel and whatever other interesting chemicals there are in plane crashes. It had dissolved all the stitching in my Paylesses.
Uh-oh.
So they were just kind of flopped open. And so I've never bought a pair of Payless shoes since, but
was that the headline, though, the touch and not go?
It didn't make it, but I noticed I was wearing gold toe socks, which are kind of a popular men's socks, and they were unfazed by this. So if you were to have me take my shoes off right now, you would see.
Gold toe.
That is correct. Those babies are good.
Okay. I have to admit, I'm also wearing gold-toed socks.
Oh, there
right
you
now.
go. See? Well, if you're ever slushing around near a plane crash in foam, you'll find your socks hold up just fine.
I'm good to go.
Maybe not your shoes.
Yeah. Well, I don't shop at Payless.
Anyway, so you have all these, there's a lot of stuff. Every week you get crime, all that sort of thing going on. There's people that are shooting each other, stabbing each other. There's molestations. There's suicides. There's all kinds of things that happen. And even back then, Arlington was a good 250,000 people, and probably one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
Aside from the touch and not go, because that was early in your career, crime and catastrophe, is there one that stands out as the story you remember covering?
By the way, I figured out who had actually done who the serial killer was, and told the police captain. He told me to mind my own business. That I was that I was supposed to be a reporter, not a detective. And then a couple of weeks later, they arrested the guy. So I'm thinking I'm a natural.
So you found the guy before the police did.
I figured out who he was, although my evidence was somewhat sketchy. But so at any rate, in fact, I went out to watch him play. He was in a band. And so watch him play. Hey, maybe he's one of your friends. So, and the cops showed up while I was there, so to arrest the guy. And the same police captain gives me a thumbs up. I was like, "Oh, get out of here, man!"
Did they at least wait till the end of the gig? Because missing a bass player out of a band can really mess with the sound.
This happened to be the drummer, so So I'm guessing that the percussions for that the next set were really lacking in something. So you get that, but there are the main things. There are unsolved. After that, I fancied myself a detective, but we had the murder of a young woman named Cheryl Calloway at Forum 303 Mall by an unknown assailant, even though people saw the assault and got part of his license plate. And then there's a young girl who was abducted and killed, and Amber Hagerman. And I found both times, I still have my files on that. I still have not been able to solve it. So I guess I'm a one-hit wonder when it comes to solving
You had a career then
crimes.
As an investigative reporter. You did the majority of your career as a columnist. Which did you prefer the most?
I really like the columnist thing. It's just, in fact, I hate airline crashes. I hate the crash. I hate covering them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there. Everything is there. You're up to your neck in bureaucrats and people covering their butts. And there are people being carted off in the stretchers. And then the stuff that you find out that's really important hardly ever comes from the scene work. It comes from the after work, after investigations, when you're doing everything else what went wrong. Giant. I mean, I covered a Delta crash and I literally spent 18 hours out there all night long, and with the police dogs hunting for body parts and those kinds of things, and it ends up, you just have a severe downdraft, and as the plane is 50 foot off the ground, you got nowhere to go. So I always felt bad for the guy in the pickup going down the highway. Plane wheels landed on top of his truck and killed him. So there you go. Minding your own business, cruising down the airport freeway, and there you go.
And it's your day.
Yeah. And you're second, because that's what, a 2 or 3 second timing thing.
Yeah.
I found that to be true in a lot of crime stuff. I didn't get to do that a long time. Capital Cities came along and bought the thing, and then they decided to replace the editor. I told you my ambition was to be the editor of a big weekly or a small daily, and I had been at the CJ maybe a year or slightly more when the new Capital Cities came in. You probably never heard of them, but they were eventually a Fortune 100 company, and eventually they bought ABC TV. So
sure, Cap Cities is huge.
Yeah, and then Disney eventually bought them. It annoyed me yesterday. I heard Disney talking about ESPN, which was something. It's got to be a. It's not Disney. It's Cap Cities, but they're all long gone. And in the end, they took the money and ran. At any rate, I did that for a while, and I told you I wanted to be editor of a small daily, and the guy at Bonham, who owned the little 6 times a week dailies, offered me the job. And so I went to the new publisher from Capital Cities and told him, well, hey, guy, I need something. I have something I want to talk to you about. And he says, well, I want to talk with you about something too. So I go into his office, and he says, go ahead. And I said, no, go ahead. And he says, oh, well, we're bringing in a new management team, and we're going to have a new editor here. All that, and I go, okay, fine. And I said, just a matter of curiosity, who is the new editor? And he says, you are stupid.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, because I did not see it coming.
Yeah.
And then I get up to leave, and he says, "What do you want to talk to me about?" And I go, "I'm thinking Arlington, bottom. Arlington, 250,000, Star Telegram, Cap Cities, bottom, 7,200 people. Okay. Just that's nothing," I said. So I didn't tell him. And I called the bottom guy, who never spoke to me again the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
I think he was annoyed. I don't blame him.
He was offended you chose Arlington.
I think he thought it was a done deal.
Yeah.
And maybe it sort of was, but it's never a done deal, is it?
You wrote over 10,000 columns for the Star Telegram.
Columns and editorials, Yeah. Yeah, I have a misspent life.
Yeah. The people always remember milestones in their life. Do you remember your first column?
Actually, the first one that I wrote, I remember that because it won Texas Press Association award.
Your first column won a
not my first one. First one I remember.
The first, okay.
That I remember was about this little white right that I was at, had a Grayson College there that had been long closed. And it had been closed so long that they only had 8 or 9 alumni left that came to the reunion. So I walked around with them as they walked around the old campus site, and they're telling stories and that sort of. So I kind of wrote, and they decided at that point never to have. That was the end of the reunions forever. So I wrote a little nostalgia column about walking under the oaks and remembering the good old collegiate days, and then that won the column writing award. So other than that. And I had started doing some columns in college.
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, "Well, which ones do you remember?" Oh, man, I do not. I do not know. It's a good thing that there's a morgue at the Star Telegram, and then finally there's a good thing there's Google, because I wouldn't remember that stuff either. 2 or 3 days, 4 or 5 days after I write something, it tends to sort of fade away. I bet you're like that with podcasts.
Either podcasting or I was going to say songwriting.
Yeah.
Where you get an idea and you've got the melody and you're putting some chords together
and you're working on it.
And you think, I'll write it down tomorrow.
No.
It's gone.
No. I'm not that bad. I have learned to write the stuff down. In fact, you see, I have 2 pens and a pad in my pocket.
Yes, you do.
And there's a recorder out in the car. So I have that, but after I write them and after they publish them, I also still have column anxiety, which is used to be I'm doing these 3 columns a week, and I know that at midnight the presses are running. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you think of that you wish you'd done differently, or that, there's none of this stop the presses business unless there's a dead president, or a nuclear attack. It's not happening. So I would fret about things, and then about midnight, too late, go to sleep, and drop off.
That you should have worded that sentence this way instead of that way.
That way or this way, or I kind of wish I hadn't said that way about that particular person. And sometimes I do call you the next day. Happy.
Were you ever a fan of Lou Grant? Do you remember that?
Sure.
Sure. The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Oh yeah.
And so
I know 10 or 12 Lou Grants.
Okay.
And
so you got Mary
30 or 40 Mary Tyler Moore types, at least in that show.
Mary was the young reporter, and Lou was the
gruffy old farmer newspaper city editor.
And he tells a story to Mary about going with your gut.
Uh-huh.
And he says, I was a young cub reporter somewhere in Illinois, and I got a tip. I was the only one in the building, and the paper was about to go to press. The phone rings. I don't have time to confirm. It is one of these, I have to either go with it or wait till the next day, and my competitors have it as well.
I know.
So I went with it. And the headline read, Japanese bomb San Diego.
Okay.
But he went with it, and that was the lesson: is go with your gut and make it right after.
I'm more like trust but verify kind of person.
So you do look for 2 sources.
At least.
At least
that. I've done my share of single source things. A lot of times you have columns. I mean, it's about somebody. You talk with them. It's better if you can find one or two other people who would have something reasonable to say about them, particularly if they're pleasant people.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. Although I think it's even easier to find people to talk about unpleasant people, particularly politicians.
We're talking with former Star-Telegram columnist OK Carter, and we will pick up part 2 of said interview next week. In the meantime, this is the place where you will hear the latest Mansfield news, talk, and information. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, love, or support this podcast if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. It's free and it's easy. Head on over to our website, aboutmansfield.com. Enter your email address right there on the homepage. We will never send you any spam. We promise.
About Mansfield is recorded at Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. Hosts Steve Casillo and Colleen Daniel. Moment with the Mayor feature, Michael Evans. Methodist Mansfield News to Know, Angel Biasatti. Mansfield Real Estate Market Update, Beth Steinke. Cultural Arts Calendar, Tim Roberts. Cocktail of the Week, Brian Certain. Post-production editing, mixing, and mastering, Steve Casillo and Andrew Miner.
This podcast is copyrighted by Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast without written consent is prohibited. We thank y'all for listening. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Steve Casillo, and this is About Mansfield.